Okay, great. So we are going to have, hello? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. If you can't hear me, can't see anything, tell me. The sharing screen could not, it did not share, it froze. Okay, so I had to restart. So what we're going to do right now is, okay, great. We are going to share the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, I think that's better so that we can go right away to the reinforcement and punishment. So we said A is antecedent, B is behavior, C is what? Who remembers? C is
Consequence.
consequence. Who is this?
As
Answer. Good job, answer. Okay, C is consequence. Okay, so make sure you know it. A is antecedent, means that what happens before the certain behavior. B is behavior, and C is the consequence after behavior. Okay, so this is really important because even if the event, maybe it's 1 second, okay, but you have to divide it in this way. Maybe no, it's 5 minutes, right? It depends. So you have for example, if you are a therapist, for example, you're a psychologist, okay, and you have the client. Maybe the client needs to do herself, right? This is the behavior that people do. For example, today I am on the Skype. Tell the person, maybe or on Zoom. Many times the person gets gets stressed out right away. What happens when you're stressed out? They don't like to talk, present. Okay, so what happens? Why do you get nervous? So they list what happens before the behavior of being nervous, and then the consequence of it. What happens when you're nervous? Okay, maybe you lose what you're talking about. Maybe you don't know where the file is, right? Maybe, for example, no, you feel like you want to close the room and you want to go out. Okay, so this is really important. Yes, you can use it for anything you can think about in psychology, the ABC. Obviously, it's going to use it for his experiment with the mouse. Okay, and we will talk about it more. Okay, so right now I'm going to upload the presentation. Okay, so ABC: A, antecedent; B, behavior; C, consequence. Okay, so schedule. Why is it called schedule, Lisa? This is really important. Why is it called a schedule? Why is it a schedule? Why is it just not ABC or ABC list or whatever? Why is it called a schedule? I want to try to remember. Okay. So why is it called a schedule? Yes, why is it called a schedule? Let's try to remember here. Okay, schedule. Let's write it here. So schedule, in order. Okay, so schedule is basically, that's in order, right? In order. One in a certain order. Okay, this is really important. Okay, so schedule in order or certain order. So it has to be A first, then B, then C. Now it's common sense, right? So A, antecedent, the action before; B, behavior; and C, consequence, right? So this is really important. Okay, any questions on that? You need to know that. Okay, one of the homeworks will be on ABC schedule. Yes? Okay, so make sure you know it. Okay, great. Okay, so let's move on right now to the reinforcement and punishment. Okay, so positive and negative. Positive is that we add a certain stimulus, okay, if it's a stimulus that increases or maintains the behavior, which is you add a pleasant stimulus. So the stimulus that increases or maintains the behavior is a pleasant stimulus, okay? Okay, that takes out the behavior, that decreases the behavior, not takes out, decreases, is an averse stimulus. So stimulus that's not pleasant, it's opposite. It's very offending. It's not nice for the person or animal or anything you're giving it. Okay, so that's the stimulus. Okay, this is really important because if you don't know the difference, you'll get lost. Okay, so positive is that you add. That's why it's positive. Okay, so think about it, it's like a number line, right? The zero is in the middle, and then when you add, the numbers are positive, right? 1, 2, 3, you're adding, right? The numbers. You're increasing on the number lines certain numbers, right? That's why it's positive. And then you have the negative numbers before zero, right? -1, -2, -3. Why? Because you take out, right? Okay, so so this is really important. Or negative, think about it that you remove something. Okay, so remove, negative. Okay, it's like minus, like 1 minus 1 is 0. You remove 1. Okay, so negative is that you remove a stimulus. Okay, so negative reinforcement would be that you remove a offending stimulus, not a nice stimulus. So for example, maybe a person is scared of rats. If you get him a rat, okay, or if he has a rat next to him and you remove the rat, okay, that increases or maintains the behavior. Or for example, a person doesn't, you have a 5-year-old sister, she doesn't like to eat, let's say she doesn't like to eat, vegetables maybe, okay? So in that sense, or she doesn't like to eat a certain candy. Okay, so in that sense, you remove that candy or remove that vegetable, and then in the sense that maintains her behavior, increases her behavior, right? Or she doesn't like to watch a certain movie or to study or whatever. So when you remove it from the schedule, you increase or maintain her behavior, okay? The opposite here for the punishment, right? You remove a pleasant stimulus, okay? So for example, maybe your younger sister who's 5 years old, um, she wants to to eat candy. Okay, so what do? You remove it, and then like this obviously reduces the behavior. So maybe she's shouting all the time in the room, okay, with her friends. She has her friends over, and you guys are inside. You guys can't concentrate on your work or studying, and so what do? She has a candy in the kitchen. You remove the candy. You take it out of the house. In that sense, you decrease the behavior that she and her friends shout. That's an example, for example. Okay. Here, the opposite for reinforcement. On the contrary, your 5-year-old sister and her friends are really nice, okay, and they're doing great um, in the house. They're playing around. They're quiet. They're playing chess. They're playing board games or Barbie or whatever with each other. And then afterwards, you want to you want to reinforce that behavior that they're very quiet in the house. So what do? You remove a stimulus that they don't like. Maybe they weren't allowed to go to the movies because there was no time. And so, what do you remove? You remove that they can't go to the movies. Okay, that's also counted in. So remove that they can't go to the movies. Okay, do you see? So that is a way to increase or maintain behavior. This is negative removing is opposite than what we talked about before, positive, which is adding. Okay, so you have in the first box here, you have positive adding. Okay. Yes, so here, where is it? Adding, yes, okay. So I'm just admitting people right now and okay, great. So um, adding is in green. Okay, so positive is adding in both cases for reinforcement, maintaining increasing behavior, and for punishment. Okay. Okay, so And then you have the other one, which is, we'll put it in red. It's negative. It's taking away. Now, negative is removing. You remove either a very offensive stimulus or a very, not pleasant one. And that means that it gives the opposite effect, which is increases and maintains the behavior, right? Yes. So for example, maybe I'll tell you guys that, you guys did a really good job on the quiz, everyone. So in that sense, maybe you had a really big assignment, and so I take it out. Okay, in that sense, increase and maintains the behavior that you do good in the quiz. Okay, and the opposite, maybe for example, the quiz grades were average, so or below, not average, below average, everyone. So that means that we need to decrease that behavior. So what I would do is I would have a kind of punishment. Okay, and this is obviously to decrease the behavior. This is obviously the Skinner theory, because we'll talk afterwards that obviously in schools, in today's world, and in behavior and everything else, punishment reinforcement is very different. Okay, so they do use some of it, but sometimes you have to be on ethical morals, and they also have to be with the strategy of an effective educational psychology, right? Strategy, or effective education strategy in that sense, right? Or even in behavior therapy, effective therapy. So keep that in mind, that this is only in theory. Okay, in the real world, it's kind of different, right? So remove positive stimulus in the sense of you remove for example, maybe you had many assignments that have a really big one, so then I would remove that and I would give a really big one. Okay, in that sense. So that obviously decreases the behavior. Okay, so this, in the sense, I remove the positive stimulus, small ones, and then I added an aversive stimulus, which is a punishment, a big one, right? So I did two. Okay, so keep that in mind. So let's see the difference again. Here, the positive is that you add a stimulus. The negative is that you remove a stimulus. Positive, add a stimulus, either reinforcement, which you add pleasant stimulus, or punishment, add aversive stimulus. For the negative, when you remove a stimulus, you remove an aversive stimulus, which is reinforcement, or you remove a pleasant stimulus, which is a punishment. Okay, now I'm doing all the talking right now. What I want you to do is I'm going to give you like 30 seconds. Okay, and I want you to look at the box here to think about an example. Okay, for one of the boxes. So each one I will call your name. Okay, I want you to tell the class an example. So positive with reinforcement. I give an example for that. Positive with punishment. Okay. Negative with reinforcement. Negative with punishment. Okay, great. Okay. So let's think here. I want you to think, everyone, yes, who's here, about an example. And obviously there is extra credit. Okay. For who has a great example for the class and explains well. Okay, great. So let's share right now. Okay. So I want, let's start with Saifullah Kareem. Saifullah, give me an example for the first box.
Which one?
The first box, positive and reinforcement. Give me an example for that.
I think, for example, if a student is good in school and he attends all sessions and these things, the positive reinforcement is when the teacher gives him a reward or something. When the teacher rewards him.
Excellent job. That's an excellent example. Okay, so the actual reward of the teacher would be the positive reinforcement, right? A pleasant stimulus, so a kind of reward, maybe good job, maybe even like in the grade, it depends, right? Excellent example. Good job, Saifullah. Okay, this is extra credit for Saifullah for today. Let's go to Abdul Rahman. Abdul Rahman, give me an example of positive. You add a stimulus, but for punishment.
Miss, we have another session right now.
You have, okay, great.
Example of
So
what,
thank you
Miss?
for telling me. Okay, so this is for positive punishment. Yes, you added versus stimulus. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to leave the session. I want you to keep in mind the examples for today, for tomorrow. Okay, so we'll review this box for tomorrow and the ABC's schedule. Okay, so excellent job, everyone. Yes, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Bye. Okay, wait.